World, jump right into it. Had to come on and talk about this week's bite down performer, fighter of the week for bite down boxing, presented by Pay Me No Mind Sports and Entertainment. My name is Wood. Consider becoming a subscriber to the channel, and if you like the way any of the information is being broken down, discussed, analyzed, preview, review, recap, so on and so forth, hit that like button, share the video, so on and so forth. Again, rest in peace to Mr. Henry Aaron out there. That's why we rocking the Atlanta Braves cap in honor of the man. Also check out the It's Always Personal podcast that's on Apple Podcasts, Google Podcasts, and Spotify. But let me jump right into it, man. I really could have went with the new WBO super bantamweight champion and Stephen Cool Boy Steph Fulton as the bite down boxer of the week. I think he put in a masterful performance and really showed fight fans all areas of boxing and put in a phenomenal job in taking down champion Angelo Leo. But he was favored to win that fight. And that was one of those fights where after the third or fourth round, you kind of figured there was no suspense in how the fight was, what the outcome was going to be, because Leo just didn't have the tools to overcome what was being done to him. I mean, when Fulton decided to fight inside, when he started bullying him around, when you saw him walk Leo back to the ropes, and Leo couldn't spin off of the ropes, couldn't get off of the ropes in any way, just didn't have any craft, about him to really change the tide of the fight. And it became one-sided. And like I said, Leo's father really didn't have a lot of good information for him late in the fight. He just wanted him to knock him out. But, bro, he hasn't been successful in like 8 or 9 rounds. Like, you got to give him something to do. Feint a little bit more. Like in the third round, he slipped off of Fulton and went to get to some angles, and he didn't even do it anymore. He just kind of kept coming straight forward. Later in the fight, after he had the fight in the bag, Fulton started getting that space, popping that jab, fighting a little taller, and just outboxing the man. So, phenomenal job for him and a good showing for him. But I had to go with Raeese the Beast Aleem as the bite down fighter of the week. First of all, I don't think Vic Pasillas is done. It's not like he can't come back. Pasillas, I would like his chances against Fulton. I would like his chances against Angelo Leo. I would like to see Vic Pasillas against Danny Roman. It's a couple other dudes. Even Figueroa, that might not be a good matchup for him based on the height and the tail of the tape type stuff. But Vic Pasillas still can come back and do some things. He just one thing that was that I started noticing as we got closer to fight week. I wouldn't say that he was feeling himself, and I don't think he was getting disrespectful of Aleem's game, but I don't know. He just seemed to throw caution to the wind, and I thought he was a very versatile fighter and could fight in a number of different ways, do a number of different things. But it's like he got it into his mind that he was going to dictate to Aleem what he wanted to do versus maybe reading what he could do, what style he could apply. And he got into the fire a little bit too quick and too early, in my opinion. And maybe he didn't believe in Aleem's power. But once he got in there, ain't that something? He just shut down on me. Once he got inside and kind of committed to trying to force the issue, things went sideways for him, and he just couldn't. He really wasn't picking up on where Aleem's punches were coming from, and I think technically that was one of the dope things that I kind of didn't expect from Aleem. And Canelo is a master at doing it. And I'm not saying Raeese Aleem is on Canelo's level, but what I thought he did that caught my eye was he went to go do different things with his feet, or even different things with his upper body, but his punches were coming late, and he kind of disguised what he was gonna do. and Pasillas kept. You saw he kept hitting him up behind his guard. His guard's up here, and the punches were coming to the back of his head. And that's because I think Aleem's punches were just, I don't know, they were awkward. They were coming from awkward angles. And like I said, he was all night long. He kept setting up from outside, had a 4-inch reach advantage, 4.5 reach advantage or something. But he just kept setting up outside and executing different stuff. And Pasillas just couldn't do nothing with it. Shorter arm guy. And then also there's a difference in boxing quickness and like athletic quickness. And one thing that I mentioned in the press conference last night, in the post-fight press conference, was last week, I think on NBC with Chris Collinsworth, one of the wide receivers, he says something about short space quickness. And for one of the wide receivers, I think it might have been Devontae Parker from the Green Bay Packers. And that's what I saw the difference being last night, was that short space quickness, that short space explosiveness. And Pasillas just couldn't do anything with that. Some interesting things were, out of 185 landed shots, 64 of those shots were body punches by Aleem. And I really haven't seen a dude punish a guy's body from long range like that. Usually when we think of guys throwing body shots, it was more what we saw in Leo and Fulton, inside somebody's head and somebody's chest, going to the body in that manner. And then when you, when you're working inside, you leave yourself open to big shots. The uppercut that Fulton kept catching Leo with and snapping his head back. With Aleem able to do this from the outside, it eliminated all of that. He wasn't being made to pay for taking the risk of going to the body. And I think basically even in that 8th round, when Pasillas kind of had a bit of a comeback, he didn't have a lot of steam on his punches anymore because he'd been beat up to the body so much. In terms of power shots, it was 162 to 125 in favor of Aleem. 42.4% on his accuracy with his power shots versus 27.3 from Pasillas. Again, man, that movement just didn't allow Pasillas to set his feet and get comfortable. Like I said, he wasn't really picking up on where Aleem's shots were coming from. The angles that Aleem was giving him just troubled him. And, he was, when he knocked him down in the 2nd round, of course, that obviously got his attention. But, I mean, he went back to the corner and he was hurt pretty badly. And then I think maybe even the 3rd, I don't have my notes up, but I think even at the end of the 3rd round, Pasillas was standing there while his team was getting the stool together. He was hurt again and kind of starting to look defeated. And, 4, 5, 6, 7, he's just getting the fight beat out of him. He gets dropped in the 2nd round, the 6th round, the 9th round, and then we get the stoppage in the 11th. That was another thing that was odd and awkward about Aleem circling to his right the whole night, going towards Pasillas' power hand with him being southpaw. We usually don't see that. Another thing that you hear a lot of when you're watching southpaw versus orthodox, you hear staying outside, the lead foot staying outside of the others and controlling that part of it. That they never even said that last night, because that didn't even factor into the fight, because again, Aleem was able to get in and out so much, so consistently. And like I said, what he was setting up and executing from long range, it almost got to a point where it was like a heat check in the NBA, where, guys come down and shoot a 28-foot shot, to see how on they are or not. And Aleem was just able to do so much from outside that he almost ran out of stuff to do. And it's just a hell of a performance. We get to that 11th round. Again, he was, and that's what I liked about it. Also had to go with him over Fulton, because he raised his stock significantly last night by actually stopping Pasillas. He could have just beat him up, boxed the last 4 or 5 rounds and just won the fight. But he punished him and then he worked to get the knockdown, the knockout, and to stop him, and really to just send a message to the rest of the division. And a lot of guys talk a lot of stuff, after fights. So and so was doing this. He was trying to survive. We heard Devin Haney say some different things after, he beat up Yuriorkis Gamboa for several rounds, won all 12 rounds basically, but didn't get the stoppage. Didn't even get a knockdown, I don't believe. And you get those excuses. Well, he was doing this. He was just trying to survive. He was holding me. Sometimes you just got to figure it out. That's the difference in making a big statement, or what we see Devin Haney now. He's got to do a lot of talking on all of these different platforms because his action didn't speak volumes for him. So now you got to go out there and you got to talk. And right with the performance that we saw last night from Aleem, he doesn't really have to say much. He knocked out a guy who had a hell of an amateur pedigree. Had a great showing on PBC Fox or PBC FS1 back in last September. Came into the fight with a lot of buzz around his name. I think Pasillas was probably the favorite in the fight, and he took it to the guy, beat the fight out of him, and like I said, set him up beautifully. Again, circling to his right in that 11th round, and making Pasillas move his feet. Pasillas comes in. It might have been a overhand right or something that he threw, and Aleem got underneath that and came over the top with his right overhand right on the button too. Beautiful shot, just beautiful shot. He was, like I said, accurate, 42% in his power punches all night. That's just a hell of a performance, man. And looking ahead, he definitely has a power advantage over Fulton. But I stress, Aleem's not in the top 15 in the WBO. So maybe he is after that performance, and there's a way that fight could get made if Showtime wanted to do that. But Aleem is number 1, I believe, 1 or 2 in the WBA, where you have Akhmadaliev as the champion, who's a unified champion. He also has the IBF title that he took from Danny Roman last January. But Aleem is also top 10, maybe 5-ish, 6-ish in the IBF. So it'll be interesting to see what his team can do in Prince Ranch Boxing. If they can do something to get that fight together, that would probably mean possibly going over to the zone for a fight. But Aleem is not a PBC fighter, so he might have the flexibility to go make that happen, and to have a chance to fight for 2 titles on the same night that you get your first championship shot. So big things for him. Oh, but what I was saying was, from that performance right there, I think he's a great matchup for Akhmadaliev, who has good footwork. He does like some short space quickness and some explosive stuff himself. But he can, Akhmadaliev can fight at all 3 levels, and pretty talented fighter. But I think that's a pretty good matchup. Again, Aleem might have a little height advantage there. He might even have a reach advantage there. That's an excellent fight if they can get it done. So I'm hoping he gets that shot, and we'll see what happens with Aleem moving forward. Again, you meet a lot of creeps. You meet a lot of weirdos and a lot of characters in boxing that you kind of, after you talk to them once or twice, you you'd be all right in life if you didn't have to talk to them anymore. Both of those guys were good men, good dudes. Pasillas had a really good spirit, really upbeat guy, positive. Considers himself to be a warrior, was taking advantage of having a second shot. He once upon a time was a blue chip signee for Top Rank, messed that situation up, being undisciplined, bounces back here, and gets into this basically title eliminator type fight. And, he just ran into a guy that wasn't right for him. And then Aleem, a humble dude, comes out of Muskegon, Michigan, left to go out to Las Vegas with like $3,000 in his pocket, had an overbearing father, Tough relationship with him, but goes out to Vegas, puts himself together. Becomes a hell of a fighter, taking advantage of all of the different styles and all the different fighters that are available in Las Vegas, and has worked himself into, kind of a must-watch. Not a must-watch, but he's just positioned himself for excellent opportunity. We'll have to see what 2021 can, what can be done in terms of making fights the rest of the year. That card last night really should have been in front of a crowd. I think that even the Leo and Fulton fight was excellent. A lot of big explosive stuff with Aleem and Pasillas, and then Romero and Sparrow. It was what it was. But also, I invite you to check me out. I didn't do write-ups last night on the fights because I saw at the last minute that they were going to have the press conferences after the fights via Zoom, and I just had different stuff going on in my mind with writing up the fight and then trying to have some questions for the fighters in the event that I was selected to be able to, to ask some questions. And I got in for Aleem as well as Stephen Fulton. So I didn't write them up. I'm going to do some stuff later in the week to talk about the fights from a different angle, or maybe what's next for the guys, or something like that. I might try to get Aleem back on another live stream. If you want to check that out, we'll see if I can make that happen. What else was I going to say? Oh, but check out the preview piece that I did. I think I gave a pretty accurate breakdown of what to expect in last night's fight. If you check it out, it did get a little long because I talked about all three fights and what each guy needed to do to get the victory and what might happen. So it is a little longer bit of a piece, but hey, it is what it is. Hey, my name is Wood. Thanks for rocking with me. Appreciate them likes that I see up there. Let me get on up out of here. Enjoy the rest of your day. We got the AFC. We got the conference championship games in the NFL. I think that Josh Allen and Patrick Mahomes could be a hell of a shootout, and I think Buffalo they could press Kansas City at home. I really think so. I like that group. They seem to be playing with kind of house money, in so to speak. And Mahomes, I don't know what his foot is going to be like. He had the toe injury last week, but I think he's going to need some to use his mobility at times to make a play here and there to make to finish a scoring drive or something like that. And if he doesn't have that mobility, he can get it done either way. But I think he's definitely more of a threat when he can run, those 2 or 3 times a game, maybe 4, to give defenses something else to think about. On the NFC side with the Bucks and can't even think of who the other team is. Green Bay. I'm like, why am I so brain dead? With the Bucks and I think I don't really believe in Green Bay's in some of their pieces, some of their skill guys, and but no Antonio Brown, who was coming on for the team. So I think that's going to be a tough one. Great, you can't ask for more than to see Rodgers and Brady going head to head. I'm gonna go with the home team though, the home field team though, with the Packers. But that's it. Let me get on out of here, man. Thanks for rocking with me. Let me get on out of here. You don't have to be great to start, but you have to start to be great and bite down boxing. Don't let them count you out. Peace.